Have you ever wondered how your brain's neurons communicate with each other? These tiny cells in your brain are responsible for everything you think, say, and do. So how do they talk to each other? Welcome to the amazing world of synapses. In this first video of our series, we'll explore what synapses are and how they allow neurons to send messages. Have you ever seen an electrical spark? They can be beautiful, but they can also be dangerous. Electrical sparks happen when electricity jumps across a gap from one thing to another. But what if I told you there was a way for electricity to jump across a much bigger gap? Well, it turns out that's exactly what happens in your brain. Neurons are the cells that carry messages between your brain and the rest of your body. They're kind of like electrical wires, but instead of carrying electricity, they carry chemical messages. These messages are sent from one neuron to another through a tiny gap called a synapse. The electrical signal in a neuron is like a spark that jumps across the synapse from one neuron to the next. This allows your brain to send messages very quickly. It also allows you to think, move, learn, and remember things. But how does the electrical signal in a neuron turn into a chemical message? Well, it all happens at the synapse. When an electrical signal reaches the end of a neuron, it causes the neuron to release chemicals called neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are like tiny keys that fit into receptors on the other neuron. Just like a key fits into a lock, once the neurotransmitters bind to the receptors, they cause a new electrical signal to start in the next neuron. And that's how the message is sent from one neuron to the next. So synapses are pretty amazing. They allow neurons to send messages by releasing chemicals. But how do these synapses actually work? To answer that question, let's take a closer look at the synapse. A synapse is made up of three main parts. There's the presynaptic neuron, which is the neuron that sends the message. There's the postsynaptic neuron, which is the neuron that receives the message. And then there's the synaptic cleft, which is the tiny gap between the two neurons. When an electrical signal reaches the presynaptic neuron, it causes the neuron to release neurotransmitters into the synaptic cleft. These neurotransmitters then bind to receptors on the postsynaptic neuron, causing a new electrical signal to start. This process is repeated over and over again, allowing messages to be sent throughout your brain. In the next video of our series, we'll dive deeper into the different types of synapses and how they help us think, learn, and remember. We'll also explore what happens when synapses go wrong and how this can lead to neurological disorders. So stay tuned to learn more about the amazing world of synapses. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll see you next time.